We've had tremendous success organizing the airline industry. As we announced yesterday, 3,100 new pilots at Republic. Organizing is not limited to the shop floor. It requires getting worker-friendly political candidates elected so they can go out and pass laws and make appointments that help level the playing field for workers. It means writing letters and testifying to change and unjust laws that are on the books. A recent decision by the National Mediation Board, the agency charged with overseeing airline and railroad workers, has made it far easier for us to organize and get union elections. Now we'll hear about these new rules that got passed and how they will impact organizing in some of our core industries. I'd like to introduce to you a great Teamster leader, a great advocate for our members, Vice President George Miranda, Eastern Region. Come on up here, George. Secretary Treasurer of Local 210. Let's hear it for George Miranda. Right there.
Thank you. Thank you, Teamsters. Good afternoon, Teamsters. My local union, Local 210, proudly represents thousands of airline workers in the New York tri-state area. The victory at Continental Airlines in February of 2010 was a great victory, one in which we had to overcome unfair and undated election rules. At the time, the Railway Labor Act rules required a majority of eligible workers to vote in order to win an election. This includes workers that have been on layoff for many years, and we mean many years. This meant that workers who didn't vote were counted as a no vote, which is fundamentally undemocratic. If this method was used in our political system, listen carefully, we wouldn't elect the President of the United States and most members of Congress because of the low voter turnout. So the Teamsters set out to change these archaic rules in 2009. Continental workers came to Washington, D.C. to meet with General President Jim Hoffa and lobby members of Congress. Later, International Vice President John Murphy and Continental employees addressed a National Mediation Board public hearing about changing to a more democratic system. We advocated for a system where elections would be based on a majority of those voting yes. Our efforts paid off. On July 1st, 2010, the new election rule changes took effect. Thanks in large part to our lobbying efforts, airline elections are more democratic. Now we need a simple majority to vote yes in order to win airline campaigns. In addition to organizing and representing workers every day, the Teamsters have unmatched political clout. This victory is an example of that clout and our union's perseverance. On that November day in 2009, Vice President Murphy and the Continental workers spoke on behalf of millions of unorganized workers. Russell Rigo, a Continental worker from Newark and a member of my local union, testified that day. Rigo testified, and I quote, "It is time for the outdated rules to be set aside so that there is a level playing field for today's workers. A level playing field is all we've ever asked for." Under General President Hoffa's leadership, the Teamsters were instrumental in helping to create a system that gives more workers the true hope of Teamster representation. Thanks to these changes, more airline and rail workers will have a fighting chance to win a stronger voice on the job. As we face this war on workers that is taking place nationwide, the battle to overhaul Railway Labor Act election rules is a bright spot. We helped overturn rules that had been in place for decades. Let's use this victory as an example of what we can achieve despite a growing corporate-funded attack on workers. By working together and by not giving up, we can achieve more victories for millions of exploited workers who deserve justice and strengthen our ability to fight for our existing members. Thank you, and I thank you for your attention this afternoon.